Hi there. A big update just came out today on the upcoming mega merger between HBO Max and Discovery Plus into one big combined streaming service. Two key points. First is they're starting to narrow down on an official name for this new streaming platform. But really more important is point two. The rollout for it is actually proceeding ahead of schedule. Hey, good news for once. Well, the report that came out today in CNBC is they said there are a list of candidate names, but the current frontrunner, and they confirmed this with the parent companies, the current frontrunner is Max. Just Max, M-A-X, shortened from HBO Max. And yeah, even this is a better name, a preferable name to HBO Max, which was just a terrible name, a failure of marketing. I can't believe someone got paid to think up this name for what, months at a time. 2 years ago when it rolled out, it's just how much thought did you devote to this? Because it isn't a streaming platform for just HBO, but for its entire parent company, the Time Warner media empire of HBO and all their TV channels like TBS, the Harry Potter franchise, DC Comics stuff, both live action and animated, Cartoon Network stuff. It isn't just HBO, it's that entire media group. But at the time they said, oh, well, adding HBO to it makes it sound prestigious. Now you're trying to trick people. Thankfully, it's come around to just finally after 2 years. The executives who were still around at least admitted, wow, if we slap HBO on everything, even things that aren't the real HBO, it dilutes the brand name. If you go, it's the cartoon reruns from HBO Plus, then it's not really HBO, the drama channel that brings you House of the Dragon and Succession and Euphoria, now is it? It was a terrible, terrible name, and I've been looking forward to them renaming it. When they initially announced the merger, I was terrified they'd keep the name HBO Max, even though it's half Discovery Plus now. Though I admit I'd rather they don't call it Max. I want them to think of a different name for it, though I don't have any obvious candidates off the top of my head. I mean, maybe Warner Plus or something, but, how do you come up with names for these things? I mean, Disney, when they wanted a platform, just called it Disney Plus. Apple has Apple Plus or Amazon Prime. Like, how do you come up for a group name for this thing? It's harder than you think. But they did admit this is the front runner out of a couple of candidates that they are still considering. And a big thing that is holding up just going straight to Max right now is they said that they have to check if they can even copyright the name Max because it's so generic. I mean, remember over a decade ago when the Sci-Fi Channel in the United States changed its name to Sci-Fi spelled with Y's? Because it turns out that sci-fi for science fiction spelled with I's is a generic term. You can't copyright that. So, like max is in maximum or minimum. It's not even an acronym. That just max might not be a copyrightable term. And they had to check. And my thing is, you should check that before you put it on the list of candidates. Before. So I hope that one of the other candidates that they haven't shared yet will ultimately be what they call it, but I don't really care what they call it. The other thing they did admit is what the internal production code name for it is. This is just what they refer to it internally when they're devoting resources to it. This is not what it's going to be called publicly. They said that the production name for it is BEAM. B-E-A-M, but spelled in all capitals. That's just a project name. They said that the official name will be something else, but that was just point one, and it really just goes to show that things are moving along quickly enough that they're already discussing the name. This isn't just a theoretical merger, that things are advancing pretty well when you're getting to the point of the marketing stuff. Which leads directly into point two. Turns out the rollout for this is proceeding ahead of schedule. I remember back 3 months ago, there were a bunch of huge upfront presentations with the media, uh, slideshows that they were sharing around of these are our plans for this big mega merger. And I made a big 20-minute video report on them, which I'm going to link at the end of this because it's a lot more thorough. I'm trying to keep this short, but that has my more in-depth thoughts in it. I just rewatched it. I don't want to repeat too much from it. Please go back and watch that. It's linked at the end and in the description box about the overall effect of why is this merger happening and what effect it could have. This is an update video specifically for that one. Just updating the schedule is moving a little faster than we thought. At the time, 3 months ago, they put out a timeline chart for when they think the rollout for this is going to happen. That it's not going to be all around the globe all at once. It'll be regional, starting in the United States, then spreading to other regions. And it's starting with an upgrade of places that already have HBO Max into the new combined with Discovery service. Only once they have upgraded all of the HBO Max regions will they start expanding again into places that never even had the HBO Max service to begin with. Now, if you remember back then, and I explain it in charts in the 20-minute video, last fall, late 2021, they were on the verge of spreading to India, France, and South Korea with HBO Max. And other new parts of Europe. They were on the verge of launching in Greece, the Baltics, Iceland. There was another wave of expansions. And when the merger got announced, everything got put on pause. Sooner the merger happens, the sooner they can start expanding internationally again. Well, just running down the list, the initial plan was United States gets upgraded to this summer of 2023, Latin America, fall of 2023. The parts of Europe that already have HBO Max, early 2024. Then Asia Pacific really means specifically Southeast Asia, not India, not Japan or Korea. The HBO direct market based in Singapore that's from Thailand to the Philippines and Taiwan to Indonesia. The HBO Southeast Asia was planned to get this mid-2024. And then it just says new markets, but from the number we can tell that they mean the planned expansion to India, France, and Korea that they halted. We could tell they were on the verge of expanding there because they were buying up local content for bundles. That you only do that when you're on the verge of seriously expanding somewhere in a scale of a few months. That they had pricing guides in India that leaked. They were buying up content in France and South Korea that we knew that was imminent. So I still think this is something that needed to happen. It did delay everything by like 2 or 3 years, but in order to compete with the other big streamers like Amazon or Disney, yes, HBO Max needs to combine their strength with Discovery. That's really the only way to survive now. So long term, this is a good idea. Well, what they did announce is, looking at this chart, United States, we thought it would be next summer. Turns out it's moving pretty smoothly. We've moved it up to spring of next year. They're going to launch this new service or upgrade it for if you already have HBO Max. Question becomes, does that mean that everyone else is also bumped up a quarter, bumped up a season in next year? Does this mean Latin America is going to be moved up from fall of 2023 to summer of 2023? I'm not sure. It's possible Latin America will be bumped up, but Europe will not, depending on local factors. How does this really affect us this is specifically a Game of Thrones franchise channel on here for House of the Dragon Season 2. Now, I've been following HBO Max expansion since it started, because I said, will HBO Max be available in your country by the time Season 1 premieres? That's why I've been covering this for 2 years. The new question is, will this new service be in your country by the time House of the Dragon Season 2 comes out, which they said will happen no earlier than 2024? Well, therein lies the problem, because we're not even sure when it'll come out in 2024. spring 2024 at the earliest. But I hold out some hope that Martin himself said we were pushing to have a 13-episode season for season 1, and they didn't get it. But then the only real complaint about House of the Dragon season 1 was you needed like 2 or 3 more episodes in there to tie the story together, to smooth out the time skips. And yeah, I think there's so much content, you either need 5 seasons of 10 episodes or 4 seasons of 13 episodes in that region. So, but even if they don't increase the episode order, just the scale is going to increase the way it increased on Game of Thrones, because there's going to be a war in season 2. There'll be armies and long production schedules for full-on battle scenes. It will take time. So I'm not even assuming it'll be out in spring of 2024. That's the earliest. It's equally possible it could come out summer, like June of 2024 is still very much a possibility. What really matters is obviously Latin America and the parts of Europe would have gotten this new combined service by the time season 2 aired anyway, that Europe would be early 2024. Because things are moving a season faster, that, let's see who's on the cusp here, Philippines, like Southeast Asia. If they get moved from summer 2024 to spring, there's a good chance like the Philippines will have this upgraded service in time for season 2. And then you have the new markets, though, that our best case scenario here is that season 2 comes out summer of 2024. Meanwhile, everything got bumped up a season. So their initial plan was like India, France, and Korea will be getting it in the fall. If they get this new combined HBO Max and Discovery service by June, like this huge launch for India, India has as many subscribers as Europe does, Western Europe, that if there's a chance they could tie in the launch of House of the Dragon Season 2 as like June 2024, with the launch of this new service in India and France as the big flagship project for upgrade to our new platform. Not even upgrade, it's expanding into India, France, and Korea. But international expansion, I used to be covering this pretty frequently every time they had an announcement, but it's been on pause for a year because of the merger. Things are moving again now, and it's actually good news. They're renaming it to anything that would be better than HBO Max, even Max. And they're moving ahead of schedule. But that's just my rambling here. I just put on 2 slides. Check out the 20-minute video where I go over this more with better charts. And tell me in the comments, what do you really think could be a name for this thing? I'm not sure.